Time to pull up a chair. We've got another great story for you today in the rLounge. Even though this beautiful home in the most serene town can become a nightmare if you live next door to the wrong kind of people. Today in the rLounge, neighbors can really turn a home into a prison. Up first, an OP defends their sanctuary. Am I the a-hole for stabbing a random person's hand with a pen? I live alone in a small house and I've been having some stalker problems lately, so my mind is a bit on the edge. But just a few hours ago, I woke up to a vigorous rattling of the doorknob on my back door. I was sleeping at the couch with a lot of homework sprawled on the table, and I grabbed a pen. The rattling on the doorknob turned into punches and slams into the door as the man started to scream, "Let me in!" I screamed back to stay away, but he wouldn't stop. I tried to tell him to back off, but he just kept yelling to let him in. I could see the neighbors turning on their lights as the commotion got louder and some started going out to take a look. I was sort of relieved now because I have witnesses and backup in case anything bad happens. So I unlocked the door, except I kept the chain and bolt on. I think that's what it's called. He immediately pushed on the door and started screaming to unlatch it. I didn't recognize him, but I don't think he'll try anything with people already watching or hearing. I refused to unlock it and told him that this is my house and I wouldn't let him in. In the middle of it, I tried to close it again, but he managed to grab my arm and I reacted by stabbing the pen in his palm. It caused some bleeding and he immediately backed off. It got him to go out into the street where he got recognized by some of my neighbors. Apparently, he is the son of my next door neighbor and he was drunk, confusing my home for his mom's and trying to get in. There was a lot of apologies I gave to the Lola and her son next door, but I only received death glares as they went back inside to their house. The other neighbors were sympathetic, but still think I went overboard for stabbing. It's been a while now, and I can't sleep anymore because of it, so here I am asking, am I the a-hole for going too far? Let's see how the community judges this one. First up, not the a-hole. He's lucky he didn't try that on someone with a gun. Next vote. This is like when drunk drivers get pulled over and they're pissed they got caught. He's lucky it was you and you weren't armed. If he gets drunk and tries this at someone else's house, he might well get killed. This should be a wake-up call for them. Next vote. He wasn't a random person. He was the person attempting to break into your home, not the a-hole. Screw your neighbors. What are you supposed to do when someone tries to force their way through your door? One more vote. Why did you open the door? I would have called the police. The OP replies, the living room where I was sleeping in is small and you could see the back door from the lawn if you peeked in. And there were some concerned neighbors who were peeking in and even ready to help in case it went bad. I was thinking at first of showing my face so that it wasn't somebody he knew because I bought the house of a lady 3 months ago who divorced her husband, and that's who I thought he was at first. You're absolutely not the a-hole here. That person totally crossed the line, drunk or not. You had no idea what their intentions were, and you stabbing their hand was an act of self-defense. I mean, you were wrong to open the door. You really put yourself at risk by doing that. Your first step should have been to call the cops. Update. So here's what happened since then. The drunkard was apparently rushed to the hospital, and the granny next door has basically ostracized me from the neighborhood. I left home early for work, but I couldn't focus, so my manager let me go home early. On the way back, everyone in the neighborhood was staring and whispering in hushed voices, and I can't do anything about it. It's really painful because I feel like I've done something so bad, an unforgivable sin. When I got to my door, I was confronted by the granny and some of the neighbors. She demanded that I pay for medical fees and to apologize to her son who was in the hospital. The others also chimed in saying that I should give some gift baskets as an apology or something. The whole time, I could see the rest of the neighbors in the streets, in front of their houses, and windows peering in and just staring. I felt like needles prickling my skin because everyone stares. I only agreed so that they would get off my back and let me inside my house. Even when I got in, I could still feel the looks on my skin. I felt naked in my own home despite the curtains are fully drawn. I need help. I'm just a cashier at a supermart working at 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and I'm praying that I have enough to compensate. By the way, for anyone asking, I'm not in the US. And I've already had bad experiences with cops here where I am. But that's another story. I'm from the Philippines if anyone is curious and knows any legal laws that can help me. One community comment says, why would you apologize and pay for this drunkard's hospital bill? You did absolutely nothing wrong and have nothing to apologize for. Next time granny or neighbors say anything to you, respond with, her grandson would not be in the hospital if he hadn't been drunk and trying to enter my house. Not only did he attempt to force his way into my house, he grabbed me and would not let go. I defended myself. I was scared for my life. What would you have me do? Invite a scary and drunk man who's bigger than me into my house for tea and cookies? I don't think so. It's your son, grandson who owes me an apology. Don't back down. Ask them what they would have done. and asked them why they all stood around staring instead of trying to help. You have absolutely nothing to apologize for. You don't have to pay for anything. Her grandson tried to break into the house. Think of it this way. Would they pay for the bill if you had PTSD from this and need to seek therapy? No. They should be ashamed of themselves. Like the comment said, don't back down. You did nothing wrong here. The odds are he would have forced his way into the house, and then who knows what would have happened to you. You did what you had to in order to protect yourself. Update. So about 2 months ago, a neighbor tried to forcefully get into my home through the door. Luckily, I have those chain bolts from the inside, so he couldn't open it, but he managed to wedge his arm and leg in. It evolved into a screaming match that woke up the neighbors. As he got more aggressive in pushing the door despite the chains, I waved a pen at him to scare him off, but he grabbed my hand, which resulted in me stabbing his palm. He backed off in pain and retreated to his actual house, which was right beside mine, and his mother started screaming at me for stabbing her son. She went back inside with curses as she tended to her son's wound. But what really bothered me was that the other neighbors started giving me looks and faces. For 2 weeks, I endured their glances, murmurs, stares, and even my own assumptions of what they are saying behind my back that I decided to move out. It was tough doing so because it hasn't even been a year since I bought the house, and now I'm moving. And since it is small, it is hard to hide anything from the neighbors who go out of their way to snoop from the windows. Regardless, I managed to pack my essential stuff and have my brother get me out of the house. And even as I was hurriedly putting my bags into his truck in the dead of night, it seemed like everyone in the neighborhood woke up and just quietly watched me leave. All the lights of their houses turned on and they opened their windows, just staring. My brother got creeped out as well. We started to move faster. As we were about to finish, the son who got stabbed looked smug as he called out insults about feeling Nemo guapa kaname repetica. Sorry, any Filipino people if I butchered that. It translates to, you think you're so pretty that I'll rape you, and other crap. His mother just shouted, Pahawa demonyo, which translates to, leave demon. It's been 3 days since I moved back, and I have been struck with nightmares, or I could imagine hearing other people's thoughts silently judging me brutally, and I've been scared to go out of the guest room of my brother's house. I'm probably posting this for pity points and whatnot, but I just need to hear or maybe read something that contradicts my own thoughts for once. I am going insane with how fast it's progressing that I'm beginning to doubt the sincerity of my own brother, as he might see me as a burden to him and his family of 3. I'm planning to go back to my parents in the countryside, but I don't have a date yet of when I'll move out. The community responds with these comments. First up, this isn't about an entitled person, this is about a dangerous criminal. Attempted assault, attempted rape, uttering threats. There's a good number of felony and major misdemeanor charges in this story. Stabbing his hand is self-defense. OP should report everything about this to the police. Someone else chimes in, everyone reacts differently to violence. You rightfully protected yourself. He's lucky you didn't go for his eyes or have a gun. Do not regret your response. I believe he knew it was your home and had evil intentions. Him shouting about rape when you moved out? Believing your neighbors cast doubt and suspicions upon you could very well be your mind playing tricks on you. You acted rightfully in self-defense. You may still perceive that was wrong due to societal beliefs, and now imagine others are casting aspirations. You did nothing wrong. Far more important is that their thoughts do not matter. They weren't getting attacked. Seek therapy. You are an innocent and need to understand your actions quite likely saved your life and were 100% legitimate. Please talk to someone you trust. Stay strong. One more comment. Barangay or police, or at least to the association, if there's any. At least you have a record that he was trying to force himself at the door. Pa Blotter Mo. Being drunk is no excuse. FYI, if you can, schedule psych, as you have trauma from this incident and event. Your brother will understand. DOP replies, it's hard to find a proper shrink here, especially if you basically live in a pseudo-cult of a neighborhood. Chances are I might just meet another member. It's happened before when I was bullied and I reported to the teacher, which is why I don't really have an inclination to go to authority, because some cops are avid churchgoers. I'm so sorry this has totally turned your world upside down, OP. What's worse is that they really did treat you like the villain when you were the victim this whole time. It's really such an unfair situation, especially the fact that you didn't feel safe in your own home and you ended up being the one to leave. Please don't doubt yourself or your own natural instincts. Even your brother justified the fact that your neighbors were acting out of the ordinary, and quite frankly, they scared him. The vibe was totally off in that neighborhood, and it's a good thing you got out of there. What do you make of this? Up next, a series of unfortunate events. I broke my neighbor's roof. I reached an agreement with the owner, but the tenant wants me to pay him instead. Okay, I don't know if this would be the right subreddit, but here we go. Yesterday, I was going to my grandparents' house for Christmas, and when I closed the door, I realized I had left my keys inside my house. Our grandpa went to my brother's job and asked him for his keys, but he had taken the keys that didn't work at all. So I couldn't get into my house, and the keys, mine and his, that worked perfectly were inside, and the other ones were with me. I had no better idea than to climb into my neighbor's roof and try to open my window. We live on the second floor. I did it, but the obvious thing happened. I stepped on a tile, and the tile didn't resist my weight. It went down with me. Somehow, I managed to get out of the house, through the same hole I made into the roof, and went back to the ground. A neighbor told me that another neighbor, let's call her Maria, knew the house owner. So I went to Maria's house and told her what happened. She gave me the owner's number. I'll call the owner Britt. But Britt didn't answer our calls. And the person who lives in the house, Britt rents it out, arrived. I went and told him what happened, apologized, and said I would pay for the tile I broke. Let's call him Matt. He was obviously angry about it and started yelling at me. I told him we were trying to contact the owner, but Matt said that I had to give the money to him. I told him no, I was going to give the money, yes, but I'm going to give it to the owner. Britt finally arrived, and Maria and I love you lady, told her what happened. Obviously Britt was mad, but she was more relaxed than Matt. My grandpa arrived at that moment. I told him what was happening, and he started talking with Britt. I had already said I was going to pay, so she was more calm. She told me I was an idiot for doing that, and obviously I agreed. Then my grandfather and Britt exchanged information, and they were going to see exactly how bad the damage I did was. Britt and my grandfather were inside the house, but Matt didn't allow them to go in. He almost hit my grandpa. I'm very thankful I didn't see that because I would have gone crazy if Matt had touched my grandfather. So Britt couldn't see the damage, and Matt didn't even want her to give him some tiles while we bought new ones. So yes, even 24 hours later, the roof was broke and without a temporary replacement. Anyway, my grandfather and Britt reached an agreement that he, actually me because I'm going to give the money, is going to pay for the new tiles. And everything is settled. But that has to wait because, well, it happened on Christmas, and tomorrow, today, was a holiday. And it was very difficult for someone to open a place to buy them. Then, Britt tried to talk to Matt and tell him that, meanwhile, the new tiles arrived. She could give him some of hers, but he didn't accept. Everybody had to break into their own house at least once. Maybe Matt had something in the house that he didn't want anyone to see, and that's why he didn't want anyone in there to see the damage. Update. I don't know if someone is interested, but now it's fixed. Matt was waiting yesterday to get the new tile, even when it was holiday and only his supermarkets are opened on those days. When he realized we didn't come, he fixed it by himself. He told a friend. He bought the tile and they fixed it. In the night, Matt's son came to my house and asked me when I was going to pay. He didn't tell me it was already fixed. I told him tomorrow, today, we were going to call him and fix that. Today after the lunch, I called Matt's son. He told me it was already fixed and he had the bill for me to pay. My grandfather then asked two friends to come with us, Pedro, an architect, and Billy, a witness. He wanted Pedro to check out everything was right, so Matt couldn't claim by anything anymore. And Billy, in case something went wrong, we can say someone else saw what happened. We arrived, Britt went out too, and Matt was waiting for us. I think he was drunk when all this happened because today he was calm. Pedro asked him to go inside and check it out. Everything was fine. Again, he didn't accept anyone get inside his house. Then my grandfather says, all right, but after we give the money, we're not responsible if the tile doesn't work at all. Matt accepted, so we, with Pedro, Billy, and Britt as witnesses, gave the money to Matt. And I want to clear some doubts. I don't think Matt is hiding something, at least not illegal. The roof was the tile and nothing more, so yes, I fell inside the house. But even Matt said nothing about I broke something of his. It all sounds very sketchy. Like, why not get help if someone is trying to help fix something that's yours? Well, Britt. And even to treat Britt strangely when she's the owner of the house and is renting it out to Matt, as far as my understanding goes. His behavior is so odd, drunk or not. What do you think? Can you make any sense of this? Have you experienced something similar? Thanks for joining us today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or click the notification bell before you leave. We'd love to hear your thoughts on today's topic, so feel free to leave a comment. See you next time in the rLounge.